that there are way too many people in denial around here about the nature of the problem and how serious it is. And I don't think we're demonstrating to the American people that we understand the nature of the problem when we present an alternative proposal with such a small number of cuts.
Well, that's Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill from Missouri, making life just a little less fun for Harry Reid.
And apparently denial is a state of mind in Washington. Top Line begins right now.
Welcome to ABC News Top Line. I'm Amy Walter.
And I'm Jonathan Karl.
Every day, noon Eastern, we bring you the latest politics. You can follow us at Amy E. Walter and at Jon Karl. All right, Jon Karl, you're up on Capitol Hill where things are humming. What is your top line today?
Absolutely. And I'm going to start with now what? We had these votes in the Senate over the Democratic and Republican bills to fund the government for the rest of the year. Neither one of them could even get 50 votes. And what's interesting here, Amy, is that the Republican measure actually got more votes than the Democratic measure. The Republicans, as you know, want to cut about $60 billion between now and the end of the fiscal year. Democrats are at about $5 billion. Republicans got 44 votes for theirs. Still not a very strong showing. They were all Republican votes. But the Democrats only got 42 votes. So now, in case you're watching, and I know you are, Amy, that government shutdown clock is now at 8 days. They have 8 days to figure this out.
I know I'm setting my government shutdown watch right now. We have to make sure that they are synchronized. So very close. So bottom line, we really don't have much more time, Jon Karl, for a deal to be cut. Are they going to be able to do this, or just we're going to have another short-term CR and kick this can down the road one more time?
We're going to have another short term. I don't want to ruin the end of the movie for you, but we will have another short term, and they're going to continue to cut at $2 billion a week. So Republicans could actually drag this out and get exactly what they want.
All right. Next up, a fragile recovery. There's a new poll out today by Bloomberg News that finds that most Americans don't feel the economy getting much better. Take a look at this. 49% feel that the recovery is still fragile and could still end up in recession. 37% think the economy is still in a recession. Only 14% of voters think recovery is well underway. And John, looking at what voters thought about themselves, what they said about themselves, almost half said they're less well off today than they were 2 years ago. Not really the kind of thing the Obama White House wants to see.
Yeah, those are not the numbers you want going into a campaign season. Fortunately, they have a little bit of time to try to turn that around, but as you know, Amy, not much. Next up, killing him softly. Just love this. The President of the United States announced that he's got a new ambassador headed to China, assuming he gets confirmed by the Senate, Gary Locke, the Commerce Secretary. But listen to what he had to say about the outgoing ambassador, Republican Jon Huntsman.
Jon has been an outstanding advocate for this administration and for this country. He made a real sacrifice in moving his family out of the state that they loved and has helped to strengthen our critical relationship with the Chinese government and the Chinese people.
So there you have it. Now, Jon Huntsman, as you know, is almost certain to run for president, to run for the Republican nomination. And now he is being embraced by the president, by Barack Obama, who is also telling him about how warmly he worked, with the warm relationship he has with the Chinese government. I'm not sure which thing helps him better in the Republican primary, but we'll see.
Yeah, the president has been doing this to a couple of potential Republican opponents. He's been hugging on Jon Huntsman as well as Mitt Romney, of course. And finally, on Wisconsin, yes, the Assembly is set to vote this afternoon on a controversial collective bargaining bill passed by the Senate late last night. We've got protesters on the scene. We've got liberals saying they've got the money to start recall efforts on Republican lawmakers. But John, here's my big concern. Just how long can that state capitol handle the camped out protesters? Those bathrooms have got to be feeling the strain. I mean, they've been there for 3 weeks, thousands of them.
Yeah, my sources in Madison, Amy, tell me that the Capitol building is starting to stink a little bit. But we'll see what happens. Right now, I want to turn. I had a chance to take a ride on the Capitol subway with Senator Orrin Hatch. 34 years in the United States Senate, stalwart conservative for all that time. He is now facing a real challenge as he tries to get elected one more time. Take a look at Orrin Hatch in the subway. Senator Hatch,
yes,
welcome
sir.
to the Subway Series, sir.
Well, nice to be with you.
So I want to get right to this news that NPR has fired their CEO, or she's resigned. What was your reaction seeing this controversy? I mean, you know, their senior vice president said the Tea Party was filled with racist people. Now that the CEO has been fired, is this ended for you?
I thought they did right. I mean, I felt listening to that man, he was way off base.
Okay.
And to slander everybody in the Tea Party was just absolutely despicable. So I think they did the right thing by firing him. But it also worries you that there are a lot of others at NPR that feel the same way he does. If that's so, they shouldn't be getting federal funding.
Okay, now you've been here 30 years, but you are now in a real fight to keep your seat.
I've always been in a fight to keep my seat. Every time it comes up, we have this convention system. It's sometimes very difficult, but it's an interesting system.
But are you going to go the way of your predecessor?
No, we're going to win this, but it isn't going to be easy. We're going to have to do an awful lot of important work, and with those delegates, I've been meeting with them, talking to them, answering their questions, trying to be as available as I can for them. And there's a significant number that are saying we don't want to lose Orrin Hatch.
Right. Well, what do you say to those who say, though, that Tea Party types who say you've been here too long, you voted for the bailout, that it's time for you to go? I mean, you're just not conservative enough.
I tell them to just look at those people who were on Captain Sullenberger's plane that landed in the Hudson. They survived because of experience. And that's what I have. I have experience that, by any measure, is conservative.
You were just quoted saying that Obamacare is a piece of crap, a dumbass program. Orrin Hatch said this.
Well, I really shouldn't have made those statements. You should hear what I really think about those programs. It's a lot worse than that.
Oh, go ahead. We're on the internet.
No, I think I'll behave myself this time.
Okay.
But I was speaking to a group of college students, and I shouldn't have said that. I apologized and asked them to forgive me and told them never use those words. Then I had one of the leading officials in this country say to me, "Since when are those two words swear words?" And I said, "Well, they are to me. I shouldn't have used them."
I've never heard you talk like that.
No, I don't talk like that very often, but I have to admit, I actually feel more deeply about it than those two words. I mean, it is so bad what they're trying to saddle the American public with and American people with, that you can't use bad enough words, really.
All right, I want to ask you about the deficit you talk about a lot, too. $1.6 trillion just this year.
Yeah.
And you guys are fighting over cutting about $60 billion, even a little less. I mean, you think the Republican leadership's going far enough to deal with this?
No, I don't think so, but the fact of the matter is we can't get the Democrats to go above $5 billion. I mean, when you stop and think about it, it's a joke. And so, yeah, I'd like to cut more. But you're talking discretionary programs, too. That's a small part of the overall budget.
So how do you do it?
If we don't go after entitlement programs, and you cannot do that without presidential leadership. Now, tell me the last time the president really let out. He always sits back and lets Congress do the dirty work, and he doesn't get involved. It takes presidential leadership to work on the entitlement programs, and he's unwilling, totally unwilling to do anything about it.
Well, he says that he appointed a deficit commission.
Oh, he talks about, appointed a deficit commission, and he ignored everything that they did. Tell me he didn't. I know he did. He didn't take one idea out of that deficit commission for his budget. And it's just a joke. It's another way of saying, you do it, I don't want to do it, because there's consequences if I do it.
Okay, I've got to ask you about politics, right? Yeah. Presidential politics.
Okay.
You know two guys quite well that are probably going to be in this race.
Yeah, I do.
Jon Huntsman and Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
Who does Orrin Hatch think would be a better president?
Well, they're both great friends, and I don't wish either of them harm, but I've been a Mitt Romney supporter from day one. My commitment has been there, and it's going to continue to be there. That doesn't mean I wouldn't support Jon Huntsman if he were able to come through. He's a fine young man, very, very talented guy, charismatic, photogenic.
The president likes him?
Has formed. I don't. The president just slammed him pretty hard by saying that he's been a wonderful ambassador for his way of life.
He said he's been wonderful. That's a slam?
That was a wonderful thing. I'm sure Jon Huntsman was very appreciative of that. I got to give the president credit. He's really good at slamming people with a soft touch that when you pick yourself up, you wonder what hit you. You know.
Well, the president's
He's good at it.
The president's also been effusive in his praise, or Democrats, of Mitt Romney for that health care plan that he put through in Massachusetts.
Well, that's right, and I think they have no other way of going because at least Romney had a right to do that health care plan. And keep in mind, 85% of that state legislature hated everything he did and threw all kinds of things into that bill that probably shouldn't be in there.
But was it a mistake? Was it a mistake? I mean, should Romney not
I'll
have
put it
done
this
that?
way. I'll put it this way. States can do that. The federal government cannot.
Is this Tea Party challenge that you face going to change you? I mean, some people say they've already seen you change. You've become a little, you know, a little harsher, a little further to the right.
Well, they didn't see me lead labor law reform, I guess, back in the 70s. They didn't see me do all kinds of other things. No, I haven't changed. If you look at it, I've always had a pretty solid conservative voting record. I mean, 90% of the American Conservative Union for 34 years, not just 1 or 2 years.
Right.
At 100% last year. You look at most of the economic ratings, somewhere around 100%. The ACU, American Conservative rating, American Conservative Union, around 90%. You add it all up, it's pretty hard to say I'm not a rock-ribbed conservative. But on the other hand, I do believe that one thing that's lacking around here is the ability to bring both sides together.
And you're not going to stop doing that?
Not if I can help it, but they're going to have to do it the way I think it has to be done. It's not going to be done on a big, let's spend everything basis.
Senator Hatch, thank you so much for joining us in the Subway Series.
Nice to see you, Carl.
All right, wonderful quotes you got out of Senator Hatch there, Jon Karl. I was tweeting away, especially the Sully Sullenberger stuff. Good times.
He is the Captain Sullenberger of the Senate.